Have you ever wondered if, despite your best intentions, you might actually be making it easier for your avoidant ex to move on? Well, today I want to share a comment from one of my viewers because I think it illustrates one of the biggest mistakes people make after a breakup with an avoidant. And in fact, many people watching this video may be doing the exact same thing without realizing it. And as I read her comment, I'm going to stop along the way because there are several moments where she unknowingly changed the course of the relationship. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lucia. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back or to get over your ex. And if you're not new, you're part of my no contact army. Welcome back. Okay, so she starts with, listen to Lucia. I was dumped by the guy I dated for nearly a year. It was a long-distance relationship, and though we were crazy about each other, he was an avoidant who'd step back whenever things got real. I always let him, never reacting visibly, but by the time he broke up with me, I was fed up and basically said, F it, just break up with me. And he did. I regretted it. So right away we see the avoidant pattern. When things were loving, exciting, and probably somewhat controlled by the long-distance dynamic, he'd lean in. But when things got real, he stepped back. That's very avoidant of him. So she continues, I was visiting him, so we had to keep cohabitating for a few days. The day after, a friend sent me the Art of Love podcast, and I began applying what I learned immediately. Already, he began stepping back in. After 2 days, I found someone else to stay with. He begged me not to leave, saying, this isn't over for us. I know it in my bones. That is exactly why I tell people not to panic the moment an avoidant pulls away or ends things. Many avoidants, of course, feel relief at first, but once the pressure is gone and they start experiencing your absence, the anxiety and the regret and the questioning begin. Then she says, I went no contact for 2 weeks, but the way he seemed so remorseful and how loving we were before I left made me fold like a house of cards. No! I reached out saying something reminded me of him, and he responded with so much love. I appreciate you so much. I always do this. I run from relationships and hide behind bad behavior. I'm not proud of it. I've never felt more understood by anyone than you. I bit. Now, this is where everyone needs to pay attention because this is the trap. When an avoidant says, I always run, or I've never felt so understood, or I'm not proud of my behavior, it feels like a breakthrough. Hallelujah. And sometimes it is a breakthrough emotionally, but emotional awareness is not the same as commitment. So an avoidant can understand what they did, regret it, miss you, say beautiful things, but if they're not actively choosing the relationship, repairing the damage, and being consistent, then you do not have a reconciliation yet. You have emotion, and emotion can disappear very quickly once they feel safe again. She continues, at first I played it cool and he leaned in. But then I felt guilty. Yes, I messed up. Spoiler alert, I do a lot of that. Because it felt unbalanced and I wasn't giving him enough back. I started giving more, hoping I could love him back by making him feel safe. I was wrong. He grew more distance. And this is the entire video in that one sentence. She thought she was helping. She thought if I make him feel safe, he'll come closer. But what actually happened? He grew more distant. And this is where people accidentally help their avoidant ex move on. Not by being mean or being crazy or begging, but by giving the avoidant the comfort of your love, your reassurance, your emotional presence, and your understanding without requiring them to recommit. With avoidance, making them feel safe too soon is going to backfire, and that's a mistake I see a lot of my clients making. So to make sure that you are not making that mistake or that you don't make that mistake in the future, I do offer a one-on-one coaching. And you can contact me at theartoflove.net/coaching, and we will send you the rates. They are not on the website, and the direct link is underneath every video and podcast. Okay, so the discomfort of losing you is often what makes them start to question the breakup. If you remove that discomfort, they don't have to process the loss. They can relax and think, well, she's still here. I still have access to her. Haven't really lost her. And then the urgency disappears. She goes on. After a prolonged silence, he reappeared, apologizing for his absence, saying life was hard right now, and asked me not to get upset. I bit again, reassuring him I wasn't mad. The next day, I learned his dad had cancer. This changed everything. I wanted to show up for him, offer emotional support from a distance, but he barely responded. It felt off, but I couldn't pull away in the middle of his dad's illness without feeling like a jerk. So I kept prioritizing him over my own needs. And this is why this mistake is so hard to see when you're in it, because it doesn't feel like weakness. It feels like compassion. It feels like, well, how can I pull away when his dad has cancer? And most caring people would struggle with that. But the problem is, if someone has broken up with you, isn't choosing you, isn't being consistent, and is still receiving your emotional support, they are getting the benefits of your love without the responsibility of a relationship. And that is where you start helping them move on. She continues. 2 months after the breakup, he came to a performance I was doing in his hometown. After being very affectionate, he had to tell me he was seeing someone else. He cheated on me with her, which is why he broke up out of guilt. It wasn't serious until 2 weeks ago when his dad got sick. She's the oncologist treating him. Interesting. He said she pushed in and forced it, so now we're a couple. When I tell you I did not see that coming, imagine hearing that. You're thinking that the two of you are slowly finding your way back to each other, and then suddenly he tells you he's with someone else, and not only someone else, but the woman treating his father. No wonder she says, when I tell you it knocked me out, I couldn't have imagined it. Yeah, I think most people would have been absolutely devastated. But listen to what happened next. I tried to walk away. But he wouldn't let me go. He needed to walk me home, begged me for my friendship, and sat with me in an apartment lobby until 5 a.m., sharing every detail to keep me from cutting him off completely. Now, notice what is happening here, okay? He doesn't want the relationship, but he also doesn't want to lose her. And this is where people get confused because they think, well, he must still love me. He fought to keep me. He stayed up until 5 in the morning. Yes, I absolutely believe he still had feelings for her, but feelings alone don't build relationships. Interest is shown through action. Commitment is shown through action. Choosing someone is shown through action. He wasn't choosing her, he was trying to keep her. And there's a big difference. And by the way, I do have an app, because I know most of you are no contact. I have a no contact app that will help you stay in no contact so you don't make the mistakes that this woman made. And the app is called Silencio. And of course, the link is underneath every single video and podcast. And of course, it's free. And for those of you who still like to read, check out my book, No Contact Secrets, available at nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before you purchase the book. Okay, so she continues. He still begged to stay friends and said things that no one says in a breakup. You're the most attractive and lovable person I've ever met. Anyone who lets you go is crazy. We had the best sex I've ever had. But no, he just wants to be friends. Of course he does. Now, that's incredibly important. Compliments are not commitment. Chemistry is not commitment. Missing you is not commitment. Even saying anyone who lets you go is crazy is not commitment. If someone truly believes that and they're emotionally available for a relationship, then they're going to choose you. And this is why I always tell you to listen to actions more than words. Now, here comes the sentence that inspired this entire video. She said, in his bargaining, he confirmed everything Lucia says. Before the breakup, he'd been feeling overwhelmed by us, by me. Well, classic avoidant. Not because she was necessarily doing anything wrong, but because closeness itself had become overwhelming. And then she says, post-breakup, he had horrible anxiety. He felt huge relief seeing my social media stories where I looked happy and thriving because it made him realize I was better off without him. So that's interesting. His relief didn't come from not loving her. It came from believing that she was okay, and that reduced his guilt. It reduced his anxiety. And then she writes, he admitted to regretting and questioning the breakup. Again, this is exactly why I tell people not to assume that silence means your avoidant isn't thinking about you. Many of them are. The problem is what happened next. But when I got back into contact, everything changed. He was so happy because now we could just be friends and have all the benefits of knowing and loving each other without that pesky relationship and commitment stuff. Well, there it is. That is how someone accidentally helps an avoidant move on. She gave him something incredibly valuable, her emotional presence, before he had rebuilt the relationship. So he didn't have to wonder if she'd still be there. He didn't have to fully sit with losing her. He could keep her in his life without doing the difficult work of becoming her partner again. And that changed everything. By contacting him, I helped him move on because he had the comfort of having me in his life. That's right. I'd mistaken the fearful side of his avoidant behavior for love and commitment. That sentence needs to be repeated. I'd mistaken the fearful side of his avoidant behavior for love and commitment. Many avoidants are fearful. Many avoidants do love you. Many avoidants experience anxiety after the breakup. But anxiety is not commitment. Fear of losing you is not commitment. Regret is not commitment. The only thing that matters is whether they consistently choose the relationship. Everything else can feel incredibly convincing, but still go nowhere. She continues, I stayed in contact for 2 days after seeing him to get some answers. He was forthcoming with information as an attempt to keep me as his friend. Then I wrote him a big, pretty empathic message of encouragement regarding his life situation, but explained why this wouldn't work for me and cut him off. This was the healthiest thing that she's done since this whole thing started. So she didn't scream, she didn't beg, she didn't try to convince him to choose her. She recognized that being his emotional support system while he was building a relationship with someone else was slowly destroying her. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is to love someone enough to let them live with the consequences of their actions. She goes on, I'm still heartbroken and unknowingly still love him. But finally, I'm not seeing him somehow as the one needing reassurance and love in this situation anymore. Yeah, I love this because for the first time, she stopped making him the project. She stopped thinking, how do I make him feel safe? How do I help him? How do I get him through this? Instead, she finally started asking, what about me? Exactly. And then she says, the fact that this woman is his dad's doctor is such a complicated and bizarre twist. Yeah, I'll say. I feel like that relationship is probably going to become something very serious. Well, you have no way of knowing that. But from this point forward, I'll be in no contact. Now notice, she's no longer doing no contact because she's trying to manipulate an outcome. She's doing it because she's finally protecting herself. Then she says, it turns out, though, I didn't know it, the no contact method had been working great for me, but I shot myself in the foot. That's right. She interrupted it, not because she was weak or foolish, but because she cared and she felt guilty and she wanted to help someone she loved. And that's why this happens to so many people. And then she closes with something that I hope everyone watching this video is going to hear clearly. To close, dear reader, I was like you, doing no contact purely to win him back. Everything I did over the past 2 months, including self-betterment, was for him. That's not the way. Really let go, detach, focus on yourself. I wish I'd leaned into self-love and given all that time and energy to myself. Ironically, that would have been the thing to win him back. Well, that's the paradox of no contact, because the harder you chase an outcome, the more likely you are to interrupt the very process that could have created it. And I know thousands of people watching this video are going to recognize themselves in this story. So let me leave everyone with this. If you're dealing with an avoidant ex, don't mistake anxiety for commitment. Don't mistake guilt for commitment, or regret, or emotional confessions. Don't mistake friendship for reconciliation. Ask yourself one simple question. Are they choosing me? Not with words or promises, late night conversations or compliments, but consistent actions. Because if they aren't, and you're continuing to give them emotional support, reassurance, validation, and the comfort of knowing you'll always be there, then you may be helping your avoidant ex move on without realizing it. Okay? So now I want to hear from you. Do you have any questions or comments about anything I've said? Please comment below. And if you want help understanding what your avoidant ex is really doing, make sure you subscribe, because I discuss no contact, avoidance, and what actually brings an ex back on this channel. And in the meantime, remember, love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.